If entering into motherhood brought up emotions, fears, and reactions that you thought you were already healed from, I want you to know it's not a regression. There's a very specific reason why all of your own limiting beliefs are triggered and activated in motherhood. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly where these cycles come from and what you can do today to begin to finally end the cycles, stop passing on generational wounds, and raise a sovereign child. Now, when I talk about cycles, I'm not talking about the ones that we are consciously participating in. I'm talking about the unconscious reactions that we have when we are triggered by something. Most of the time, our kids or our partners. Am I right? This could include fear, this can include postpartum experiences, this can include the hyper responsibility, the feeling like you're doing things alone, the dependency around finances. This could be triggers around big emotions, feeling unsafe to express yourself. This could be around body shame. The list is literally endless because every single person has their own experience from their childhood, their own belief systems that they're holding on to. But what I'm going to share with you today, regardless of what it is that triggers you, you're going to understand exactly where it came from and you're going to be able to change it. And that's where your power lies. Because these cycles, these feelings of powerlessness, helplessness, unsafety, shame, guilt, those are all masks. They're masks and lies that you've been convincing yourself and that you've been conditioned to believe that is taking you away from your most sovereign, free-minded, loving, confident self. That is putting you in a position where you probably don't even want to be a mom anymore. And I can say that because I went there. I've been there a couple of times where I just felt the weight of all of my own wounds and I couldn't explain it. I couldn't get out of it and I wanted to run. And if you felt that way as well, this video is going to be very powerful for you. This video and what I'm going to share with you today is based off my nearly 10 years experience working with the subconscious, understanding how patterns get passed on, and also my firsthand experience of being a mom to a toddler. So let's get into it. The first thing you need to know is what I call the imprinting period. Imprinting period. Now, the imprinting period is something that we have all gone through. We've all gone through, but have unconsciously just forgotten about, or maybe it's been brought up in therapy. This is those first 7 years of your life and your kid's life. Now, during this imprinting period, your brainwave is in a primary state of Theta. Now, there are 5 brainwave states that you naturally dip in and out of as an adult on a daily basis. When you are a child, though, and you're more energy than you are matter, you are primarily in Theta. Now, Theta is that imaginative, meditative, nervous system regulating, state. Your brain waves are vibrating at a very low frequency. It is in this state that your brain is also absorbing everything. And I mean that, everything. Every word, every reaction, every experience, your brain is logging it away. You might have heard of how your brain is like a computer and how you just download programs into yourself when you were a child. You may have heard that your brain is like a recorder, how it just literally records everything. And when you enter back into this state as an adult, which is what I teach my students inside the Theta Healing Seminar, you will be able to recall experiences from those first 7 years, especially around the ages of 0 to 2, that maybe you've never consciously been able to access before. And the reason why is because that theta brainwave state is the direct access to your subconscious. It's like opening your subconscious up wide. Now, when you are a child and you're in this theta brainwave state, the benefits are that you are able to pick up and imprint whatever it is that you're being taught, which is so powerful. It's so easy to change your beliefs when you're in this theta brainwave state. The con of it is that your brain is also unable to filter, meaning that whatever it experiences, it takes as the truth. So this means that if your parents yelled at you because you broke a lamp and you felt, well, I did it by accident, I don't know what I did wrong, what's wrong with me, you may instill a program of there's something wrong with me, even though maybe your parents had a really bad day and they saw the lamp broken and they just took it out on you. But because you're unable to filter, you will take that experience, their reaction, the words they told you, as the truth. And this is where it becomes so important for you to know exactly what is happening in this imprinting period. And you can learn more about it, and I go into more detail in this video over here, on the imprinting period. But during this period, this is where you have picked up most of those cycles you're wanting to break. This is where it has started, those first 7 years. And I go into more detail about how it actually happens when you're in your mom's sump, but we're not even going to go there today. When you're in this imprinting period, because you're in theta, because there's no filter, because your mind is so malleable, you are picking up everything as the truth. So I want you to just take a moment, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what is one thing that I believe that I learned from my childhood? Take a moment. When you close your eyes, it's actually a very powerful way for you to go from beta to alpha and even theta. Because when your eyes are open, you're looking for the threats. When your eyes are closed, you're more able to tune inward. Now, whatever that is, don't filter or judge it. I want you to write it down somewhere. This is a belief that I have and I picked up from my childhood. Now, in the Shift the Imprint workbook, which I'll link into the description, it goes over in greater detail how you can notice the patterns of these beliefs, how it's showing up for your children, and also how to reprogram it. Okay, and a test to allow you to see if you're still holding on to that today. So you can download that. But for today, for understanding this, when you are a child, when you're in that theta brainwave state, what is happening is that all the experiences that you have, especially the first time you have it. So let's say at 2 years old, your mother told you that she needed you to be quiet because you were being too loud. Maybe you were throwing a temper tantrum. Maybe you were upset about something, but you were yelling. And she told you to stop yelling. And then she walked away and you were still really upset. You may have felt fear. You may have felt abandonment. You may have felt confusion. So what the brain does when you're in the first 7 years, what the brain does is it starts to filter what you're experiencing. It starts to filter everything that that recording device is receiving. And when you have a certain feeling, the body and the mind will say, did I enjoy this feeling? If it's a yes, if it's something like love, if it's comfort, if it's support, the body and the mind and the subconscious will log that away in a folder under safe. When the body experiences a feeling that doesn't feel very good, it logs it away as unsafe. So regardless if the actions, the beliefs, the energy from your parents was intentional or not, it doesn't matter. All that matters is what your subconscious is picking up as safe or unsafe. And the same thing goes for physical experiences. So chances are, you can fill in the blanks here, chances are, when you think of fire, you think of fill in the blanks. Chances are it's fear, chances are it's burn, chances are it's unsafe, don't touch. You've been programmed to believe that. And that gets logged away. Fire, walking across the street, alone. And so a huge long list gets piled up in your subconscious. And you as a little child, you're not filtering it. You're not thinking, is this actually realistic? Am I actually gonna burn myself? Am I actually gonna get hit by a car? All your subconscious is saying is threat, unsafe, safe, no threat. That's it. So what begins to happen is that the more you experience something, the more you begin to create a neurological loop, a belief loop, as I like to call it. So what happens is that you will experience something. Let's say it's getting in trouble. Let's say your mom yells at you. Let's say, again, you're feeling like you're not good enough. That gets logged into the mind as either safe or unsafe. That creates a physical sensation in the body. Maybe it is fear, anger, separateness, abandonment, sadness. That then triggers the mind to say, how can I react to this? How can I stop myself from feeling this way? This is what starts to create those unconscious patterns that we have, those unconscious reactions. For example, this is where self-sabotage comes in. This is where procrastination comes in. This is where abandonment or rage comes in. Anything that is going to take you away from feeling those feelings. But let's say that's the second time. The first time you experience this, there's just the experience, the thought, the feeling, and it gets logged away. But the more and more it happens, the brain says, how can I protect this being that I am meant to govern from feeling this feeling again, from experiencing this? So it begins to create the ego reactions. And those ego reactions are what create those cycles that keep getting passed on. It creates another feeling, another thought, another reaction, another experience you see, and the loop keeps going. But every single time the loop happens, we're going to say that's a little neuron in the brain. And this is the next neuron. This is a feeling. This is a thought. That connection, every single time you experience an experience, it gets stronger and stronger and thicker until it becomes an unconscious program, until the mind takes over and says, don't worry about it anymore. We know we can't open up our heart to said people because we're gonna get heartbroken. We know we have to do everything on our own because we can't rely on others. And this is all happening in those first 7 years. Now, here's what you need to know. After those 7 years, you are no longer in theta. You now dip into beta, alpha, theta, and theta is usually only present 3 times. Theta is present right before you go to sleep, right when you wake up, and when you are taught how to access this state consciously and intentionally. And that's what I teach my students in the Theta Healing Seminar. But most of the time you are in beta or alpha. And when you're a mom, when you're postpartum, when you haven't slept, when you're barely taking care of yourself, when you're having a toddler who's screaming and yelling, you are mostly in beta. Which means whatever you picked up in those first 7 years, have now become an imprint, have now become unconscious. And this is where your cycles that you are currently trying to break, so you're no longer raising a child with those same suppression wounds and powerlessness wounds and fear wounds. This is where it all comes from. So we know where it came from. Now here's why motherhood is so activating to these cycles. Because you have yourself, you were a child. You were in the ages of 0 to 7. And you witnessed your mom, because she was, I'm just gonna give her some hair, I'm gonna give you some hair. You witnessed your mom unconsciously passing down her beliefs, her reactions, whatever her body was trying to tell her she had to do to protect herself from her feelings that she picked up in her childhood. Whatever she picked up, if she didn't do this work that you're doing right now, she unconsciously passed that down to you. Okay? Now, when you have a child, now let's see this as reversed. When you have a child, a lovely child, you love them so much, but they trigger the shit out of you. And you're like, why? Why does so much come up? And I know for myself, I have been a Theta healer for nearly 10 years. I work with the subconscious. I cleared so much in myself, and I was so prepared before I had a child to do all of this. Then I had my daughter and I was hit with a wound stick. All my triggers came up. All the things that I didn't even realize that I was holding on to surfaced, and it surfaced in a rage. I would slam doors. I would yell at my husband. I would get, unfortunately, a little bit more aggressive in rocking my daughter to sleep than I ever thought that I would. But my mind was so triggered by my own unconscious wounds that I picked up in my imprinting period, I couldn't see past it. I didn't know how to get through it until I remembered that I actually know Theta healing and I know how to access that state on demand. But you forget a lot when you just have a baby. So now imagine that this is you, okay? So your parents passed on a cycle to you, but now you've grown up and now this is you. When you see your child, you don't see your child. You see you. Let that sink in. When you see your child and you get triggered by your child, you don't see your child, you see you. And what happens when you see you is that you're seeing your own inner child, your subconscious, is trying to stop you, as that little inner you, from experiencing those same emotions that you felt when you were their age. I'll give you an example. My daughter is 2, and there's so much about the terrible 2s, but there's so much more energetically behind that. But one of the things in this age period is power. She has big emotions. She is expressing her autonomy. She is finding out her limits. It's amazing. As a sovereign mother, as a conscious mother, I want to support that. But when I see her yelling and screaming, when I see her getting really upset, I don't see her. I see me as a child that when I got upset, my parents would shut it down. My parents would tell me I had to be a good girl. I couldn't be angry, that I wasn't allowed to feel that. And it wasn't necessarily in those words, but that was the reaction. It was, we're not going to deal with this emotion. And so I learned to suppress that. So when I see my toddler having these big emotions, my survival self, my subconscious mind, it kicks in and says, we got to shut this down because we were told based on our programming, this is unsafe. And we are going to get in trouble from our parents if we don't shut this down. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments, because this is so important for you to realize. Understanding this is going to allow you to begin to peel back that veil, is going to allow you to really see what you picked up from your childhood And in the previous video in this series, I explained the method that I use and that I teach my clients that allows you to break cycles in an instant. And I'll link it up here or up here. This understanding is so powerful. You're not seeing your child, you're seeing your inner child. And when you can begin to identify that and understand that, you can then begin to break the cycle. Because now you're no longer going to be seeing your child and what they're experiencing in the moment. You'll be able to understand what programs you hold on to. And then what I'm going to share with you next, you're going to be able to change them. So that way you can show up for your child in exactly the way that they're asking of you, so they don't have to heal from their own trauma when they get older. Now, here's what you can begin to do today to begin to shift these cycles. The first one is make sure you watch the previous video on the SAFE method, but it is truly coming back to your agency and sovereignty. Don't even know if that's spelled right. Okay, your agency and sovereignty. Now, breaking the cycle in the instant, that is the first step. It is very powerful, but the most powerful thing you can do is to begin to understand what those programs, stories, and beliefs are that are running the show, that are showing up every time you're triggered, that are creating the guilt, the dysregulation, the fear, the worry, the overwhelm. You want to know what is held within your subconscious mind that you picked up in those first 7 years of your life. And when you begin to understand this, you can begin to change it. You may have heard before, the first step in change is awareness. But if you have no idea why you are triggered, you have no power over that. You become victim to your subconscious. You become victim to those unconscious patterns. And there is no way for you to be able to reclaim that power, to choose a different path, to break a cycle and raise a sovereign child. And this is why, as I mentioned a little earlier, there are 3 ways in order for you to access Theta. This is why you learning how to access Theta on demand is so powerful. You have the ability to access Theta at 3 points. Right before you go to sleep, which I don't know about you, but after a long day of mothering, I usually crash. First thing in the morning, which again, I don't know about you in your situation, but I like to co-sleep with my daughter. And it's very difficult to be able to sit in meditation for 10, 15, 30 minutes, even 5 minutes when I have a toddler's foot in my face or she's sucking on the boob. And so when I learned how to access Theta on demand in a conscious, intentional way, it gave me the ability to re-access my subconscious mind, to uncover what my subconscious has hidden from me. It gave me the opportunity to break hundreds of cycles. I have reprogrammed hundreds of belief systems that I have picked up throughout the years, and even picked up after those first 7 years, which I can explain in a whole nother video. Knowing how to access Theta is your greatest superpower as a mom who is wanting to break cycles and raise a sovereign child. When you access Theta, not only does it give you access to your subconscious mind, but it instantly regulates your nervous system. So you're able to show up differently. It allows you to remember your truth past all the programs, the stories, and the beliefs. It gives you access to the energy of creation itself, or God. This Theta brainwave state is the most powerful state, and this is why I teach it to my students. And I teach you how to access this in 3 days, because that's all you need. That's all you need to remember, that this is your truth. This is your power. And when you start practicing it, you can enter into this state in under 30 seconds. And this gives you the ability that in those moments when you're triggered, you can close your eyes, access that state, and show up differently. It is by accessing this state that you are able to literally pull out a belief from your subconscious, that vault, those layers and files of safe or unsafe, and download yourself with something new. It is from this state that you are able to download yourself with a program and a feeling of something maybe you've never experienced before. Okay, so here's how you can utilize these 3 spots. So right when you wake up, this is when you are just coming out of that dream state. You haven't opened your eyes yet. The first thing I want you to do in order to begin to shift your belief systems, in order to support you breaking cycles, is I want you to say in your mind's eye, show me why I'm so abundant today, why I'm so at peace. Show me whatever it is that you want to experience that you're not experiencing. So if you're getting really easily triggered by your kid, show me how I can show up with present love for my child, even through big emotions. What this does, it begins to work with your reticular activating system, your RAS, to begin to find evidence of what you're asking, okay? And this begins to work with your subconscious. And when you do it from that theta brainwave state, it makes the process faster. When you're about to go to sleep, so right before you go to sleep, you also access theta. And here, I want you to begin to recall all the ways in which you received what you asked for in the AM. So this could be, you start listing off all the ways in which you were present today, all the ways in which you were held and supported today, all the ways in which you stayed calm and peaceful. So list, evidence. Now, this is going to begin to weaken that neural pathway, okay? Every single day that you do this, it will get less and less, and your brain will begin to start connecting new neural pathways to the new truth of what your reticular activating system is looking for. This is all fine and dandy. This is great if you were just starting off, but when you can enter theta whenever, wherever, and quickly for as long, that's meant to be, for as long as desired, you have the ability to instantly reprogram your mind. Meaning that those neural pathways, whether it is, this is the feeling of fear, this is the reaction of aggression, you have the ability to instantly break those neural pathways and create a new one. Let that sink in. You have the ability to instantly pull out the beliefs and programs that you picked up in that imprinting period that told you you had to be silent to be safe, that when you became a mom, you were going to struggle financially, that you had to take care of everything on your own, that there was hyper independence, there was worry, there was shame. All of those, you have the ability to instantly reprogram to something more empowering. And by doing that, you no longer need to see your child as your little inner self and a threat. You are able to experience them as their own sovereign being and can create an environment for them where they get to instill beliefs that are sovereign, that are empowering, that allows them to feel confident, to love themselves, to feel held and supported, and to know that abundance is their birthright. This process of you reprogramming beliefs, which I teach in my seminars, it goes for any beliefs. Any single belief that you have, you can reprogram in 3 days. This is so powerful. I want you to let that sink in. Now, if you're hearing that and thinking, well, there's no way that I can possibly take time away from my child for 3 days to learn this, I see you. The Theta Healing Seminar is not for everyone. It really is for you if you are ready to be the leader for your family, to know how to break generational cycles, to free your lineage. It is powerful work. And it's also why I created the Mother frequency. And this is an activation library. So all you have to do is plug in and receive pre-recorded activations that still work in real time for you, that does all the reprogramming for you. So it takes something off your plate. Most of the activations are between 10 to 20 minutes. And this can be done at any time of the day, and it instantly brings you into that theta brainwave state. So you can reprogram those beliefs. So there's two paths for you in order to step into your power in this way. And if none of those resonate, then do the two practices of the AM and PM, and you'll begin to see the shifts of breaking these cycles. You'll begin to see how powerful you are, and all of those lies that you've been following that are no longer serving you. I love, see, and honor you, and I thank you so much for being here, for receiving this, for doing this work. And in the next video, I'm going to be sharing with you the exact method that I use in order to uncover what belief systems you're holding onto in real time. So you have a starting point of knowing where you need to work on, what cycle you need to break in order for you to be a sovereign mother. Thank you, and until next time.